Morning.
Good morning.
We are still at Downham Market.
The sun is shining. It's going to be a hot one.
Yeah, it's forecast for 24 degrees today, which is nuts considering we were pulling out winter jackets less than a week ago.
Yeah. I mean, we were on the wash, but even 2 weeks ago when we were on the Black Sluice, we had fire. We lit fire.
Yeah, it was cold, and all of a sudden it's like I woke up this morning and I was already sweating because the boat had heated up in the morning sun. So today we're going to go up to Denver Complex, go up the lock.
To leave the relief channel.
Yes, to leave the relief channel. And then we're going to go a fairly short distance further along the Ouse, where we will turn on to one of its tributaries, the Wissey. And we're going to try and get to the end of Wissey and then probably back, because it looks like the moorings that are with the GOBA, the Great Ouse Boating Association, which we've joined.
Yeah, we're now a member.
Yes, although we don't have the sticker, because we don't know where the sticker is actually supposed to go. Anyway, but we have our email saying we're members, so that should be good enough, hopefully. Anyway, that mooring is available. It's the only mooring on the Wissey that isn't held by some private group. Like there's a mooring there that's listed for a boating club and another one for a caravan park, but we have no idea how those are used. So we're probably going to end up returning and going back to the GOBA one, which will put us in a good position for the next move down to the, is it the Lark or the Little Ouse next?
I think it's the Little Ouse next.
Yes, well, one of those ones.
And that's assuming there's room on the GOBA moorings, but they're all 48 hours, so.
Yeah, so in theory.
But it's half term this week, so it might be busy.
Yes, busy on the Wissey. We're going to see how busy it is on the Wissey. Right.
There's my log title.
Yep.
Please be busy.
Log title. Just came up with it at the last second. Sorry, I'm stepping on a piece of rope.
All right, then let's go. And there's a narrowboat just coming past, so Michael doesn't think we'll both fit in the lock.
We will not both fit in the lock.
Really? They look pretty big to me.
It's quite narrow.
Is that?
Yeah. Well, it's not narrow, but it's like wide beam narrow. It's definitely not 14 feet wide. Right?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
We go.
There's a narrowboat in front of us, and the lock is big enough for two boats. So hopefully they spot us and wait for us. It's only a mile from here to the lock. In fact, we can already see one of the sluices at the Denver complex in the distance. There's a couple of Environment Agency vehicles over on the bank. It's a bit weird to see them as there's no road visible, not that we can see from the water anyway. This is one of the hire boats from the Bridge Boat Yard in Ely. Ahead you can see the A.G. sluice, which controls the flow of water from the Ely Ouse into the relief channel. We're heading to the left of that and passing under the bridge, where we'll make a sharp right-hand turn and into the lock, just before we reach the impounding sluice, which controls the water from the cut-off channel. Michael drops me off on the lock landing pontoon below the lock, and then he makes the turn into the chamber. And of course the other boat spotted us behind them and very kindly waited. Once George and I are back on board, we set off ready to turn onto the Great Ouse to head south, watching out for the rowers of course. Behind us you can see the A.G. Wright sluice to the right and the Denver sluice to the left. no shortage of visitor moorings here at Denver. A mile or so upstream from Denver, we reach the junction with the River Wissey and we make the turn. So we made the turn onto the River Wissey, and it's considerably narrower than the Great Ouse. So much so that George and I have come to sit at the front, because it's not only narrow, it's also really windy, and there's really high vegetation. Well, not really high, but there's high vegetation on each side, so you just can't see what's coming. Like usually on a canal, you can see the boat from miles off, even when it's bendy. So we've come to the front, so I can just give Michael warning if we meet anything on a tight bend, and it's quite nice sitting up here too. So. It's a bonus. George spots the first Great Ouse Boating Association moorings. We may well be back here later today. Travelling in the bow quite often means having George sitting in your lap so that he can get a better view. Not that I'm complaining, mind you. Any excuse for a George cuddle. There's a boat ahead, after the moored boat. The boat I spotted was actually mooring up, which is why we end up passing it on the left instead of on the right. Just beyond the permanent moorings, we pass under the A10 in Hillgate, and then under the old Hillgate Bridge. Just under that bridge are some EA moorings and facilities, as well as a pub and a nice field that would be great for George. After travelling along the River Wissey for about 4 miles, we get our first view of the Whittington beet factory ahead. It's British Sugar's largest refinery in the UK. The factory complex also comprises of an 18-hectare glasshouse, which is used to grow cannabis for pharmaceutical companies, thanks in part to the carbon dioxide waste from the sugar beet operations. Apparently at harvest times it causes quite the aroma. This old iron bridge carried a railway until 1957. When the factory was built here in 1925, the owners leased the railway line and built an additional 10 miles, all to transport the sugar beet. In addition to using the railways, 3 tugs were used to transfer goods from the factory to King's Lynn and to transport coal from King's Lynn to the factory. Now all of the sugar beet is transported by road. Beyond the factory, we pass under the road bridge and the river opens up into a lake, which is a bit of a surprise after how narrow the river was back near the junction. There's a sign that directs us to the left of the island ahead. George and I moved to the back of the boat to keep Michael company. He's getting rather grumpy from all the seeds that he's been swallowing as they're being dispersed by the wind. We're currently passing through the Wissey Valley Nature Reserve and it's really rather lovely. Just up that short arm is a small pump house. All of a sudden, the water gets very shallow. We appear to have taken a wrong turn, which seems slightly weird as we haven't actually taken a turn. My Google Maps screenshot shows that we carried on straight when the course of the river veered sharply to the left. Time for a Michael reverse. I think that was method load, but I could be wrong. Either way, it's not navigable by powered craft. That's where we went wrong. You can see why it was an easy mistake to make. The navigable channel was completely hidden from view until the last second.
So that was funny.
Yeah.
We just took a wrong turn.
Yeah, we got to a fork in the road, and it's not really obviously a fork in the road. Like, I'm going straight, and there's definitely a canal in front of me, and it keeps going straight. And yeah, the banks come in tight on either side, but we've been in some tight spots. But it's like, okay, yep, no problem. I'm going down that way. Wait, there's a river going to the left. Hey, Joe, which one am I supposed to do? Hold on, I'll check. Oh, it's definitely not this one. So,
My God, I'm in 4 feet of water. 2 feet of water.
2 feet, 6 inches. So it's 1 inch. Yep, we are stopped.
So we had to reverse.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, there's pollen, like, in our mouths, because it's just everywhere.
Yeah, like you can look up and see it floating through the sky, like for a good 30 meters or whatever. It's just, and it's all over the river. And anytime you yawn or breathe in deeply, you get like a mouthful of pollen. So really good that we don't get hay fever.
Well, good fun on the River Wissey.
Yeah.
Here we're crossing over the cut-off channel on this huge concrete aqueduct. Extra water can be diverted down there via the sluices ahead and along a shortcut to Denver and the relief channel. And here's the pumping station that controls the water. The moored boats and buildings mean that we're arriving in Stoke Ferry and nearing the point where we'll have to turn around. The Wissey isn't navigable beyond Whittington. One of the friendly local moorers tells us that there's a gober mooring just under the bridge, which is great as we're really ready to stop. First, we're going to go to the limit of navigation and spin around, ready for our return journey on another day. So that was really fun. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
It was a bit too hot, but you know, can't do everything.
Do we know the actual name of the town we're in right now?
There's Whittington and there's also Stoke Ferry. I think we're between the two.
Ah, okay. Right, on our way into Stoke Ferry, past Whittington.
Or
Right?
the other way around.
On our way into Whittington, past Stoke Ferry.
I think so.
Okay.
I'm not really sure.
Mainly we were beside this large bridge here. And the Grange Farm Touring Park, which is an adult-only facility for trailers and tents. They don't allow children. They're very emphatic about that. They are not a nudist colony.
Even though the woman who runs it is babysitting children at the moment.
Yeah, that did strike me as somewhat ironic. Anyway, we have We have George. We have our Gobo membership that got us onto this mooring here.
There's one mooring.
It's a one-space Gobo mooring that wasn't on our map, but turned out to be very useful.
Which was really good because we didn't fancy going all the way back to the last public mooring.
No.
And just after we moored up, another narrowboat turned up. We did say that they could moor alongside us, and they went to turn around.
And we haven't seen them since.
So, I don't know, maybe they found somewhere else to moor, but we didn't see anything.
I think they're wedged at 45 degrees now across the turn.
I think they probably found somewhere to moor, like wild or something.
But it might have been forced by the current from that 45-degree turn.
Yeah.
Maybe they're like, we're mooring here until somebody comes and rescues us.
So, yeah, good, fun trip, apart from the wrong turn that Michael took.
Yeah, okay, there was the wrong turn. I mean, it was a really nice trip because from the moment we got onto the River Wissey, it's very green. There's lots of overhanging trees.
It's very narrow and it's very winding.
Well, it's narrow in places. It widens out quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, it's very wide in places.
Yeah, in a few places. It was surprisingly wide. And there's kind of, near the British sugar plant, there's like a big flash. And then it gets a little bit confusing as to where you're actually going, but there's fish, quite large fish in the water. It's very clear water, so you can see most of the way to the bottom.
It's very quiet. We saw 2 boats going the other way, and then 1 boat when we arrived.
Yeah, 2 or 3 boats,
like in 10 miles.
And there were some places where there's some permanent moorings and everything, and they all seemed very
Everyone's really friendly.
Positioned.
As we went past the sugar factory, Michael's nostrils...
Yeah, well, the sugar factory was funny because...
got assaulted.
It's like you start pulling up there and, we were still probably a couple miles away. Like, I could see it, and I started having this smell of something like burning, coronet cone, like ice cream cone, that sort of slightly burning edge smell of something slightly like honey. And then I get closer and it's like, okay, now it's very definitely molasses with a little bit of kind of too much carbon, and then moving further along and as we get closer, it's like, okay, now it's got sort of an ethanol thing going into it, and more like a sugar rum plus molasses, and then it's closer still. It's like, now it's more of a turpentine type thing. Oh yeah, that's very much those bottles of bad chocolate. What you're a kid and you'd see a chocolate and you'd go, oh, that's cool, and you'd unwrap the tin foil off of it, and it'd be a bottle shape, and you think, oh, it's a Coca-Cola chocolate, and then you bite into it, and it was like your grandmother's liqueur thing, and it was just horrifying, and it put you off of drink for the next lifetime. Anyway, that's a personal story. The yeah, and then we got closer still, and it turned into like wood glue and then model glue, and it was like lots of different smells. It was quite fascinating.
And then there's all these vats and these pipes going across the river.
Yeah, a huge pipe bridge where there's obviously conveyor belt moving stuff, and I don't know whether or not it's some sort of raw material off to the left that's being loaded and then moved into the plant and then this whole conveyor system, or if it's like they're cooling the crystals and then moving it out. And if they're doing that and they're moving it out over there, then that giant pile was sugar.
Yeah.
There was a mountain of sugar, which, I was like, that is actually a mountain of sugar. What happens when it rains? It's like, you get a hard rain
Have
here.
you tasted the water?
Yeah, no, I haven't. And then there was also the problem of well, not a problem, but it was interesting. There's some sort of plant that is obviously like pollinating right now, because it was these little seeds just flying at us, and you could look up into the sky and see like multiple meters of waves of this stuff flying over, and I got into like a bit of a yawning fit, and I'm trying to yawn, but I'm like, I can't yawn, because if I yawn too much, I'm going to get another mouthful of this fluff.
And then I'm lying on my back on the back deck, because it was just, I don't know, just very relaxing. And I'm looking at all the seeds like flying in the sky, and the sky is just solid blue, and then these trees start encroaching on my blue sky, and Michael was like,
which river am I going on?
There's a river that way. Am I going the right way? And I was like, oh, he's funny. But no, he was going the wrong way.
And to be fair, you're going straight. and then there's an obviously, you know, narrower, but there's what appears to be sort of a normal sized narrow canal continuing straight. And the trees are planted in such a way that as you approach, it's just suddenly there's a canal on the left.
Yeah.
Right? There's a river going left and there's a river going straight forward. And they're both about the same size. Do I keep going straight forward or do I turn? And you know, Joe, my dauntless navigator, was
taking a break.
Because
I've taken you through the flashes like effortlessly.
Yeah. So I'm like, which one do we go through? And yeah, because you led me through the flashes so well that I was like, oh, she'll tell me which one to turn on. I'm like, there's a thing going on here. Which way am I going? And she doesn't tell me. So I'm like, okay. So I carry forward, and then it was just watching the ground, like, you know, rising up towards us on the sides, and then, you know, okay, I get about 4 feet, 2 feet, 1 foot, 6 inches, 3 inches. Oh God, funk.
So I kind of want to go and have a little explore, but it's just so hot that I don't think I can be bothered. Although I did tell you there might be an ice cream.
Although we're going to get all the people in Australia saying, you don't know hot.
Right.
And it's true, we don't know hot. It's only about 24 degrees. It's not really that hot. It's just that we've been in the sun a whole day. Yeah. So we definitely got that feeling of being a little overexposed. And an ice cream would be nice. So that's it. If you're going to get up the River Wissey, it's not a silver propeller location. It is quite a long haul, like it's about 10 miles from the junction. I can understand why it's not silver propeller, because there's quite a lot of boats moored here. So. And it's quite easily accessible. And the moment we arrived, Joe was like, "This is where we're moving to."
I was like, "We're not finishing the network. We're stopping here." She didn't even want to record. She wanted to end the video at the crash where I went down the wrong way. I mean, and just be like, keep this place a secret. So don't tell anyone this is here, because it's silent. It's all these little tiny plots where people have a bit of mooring space, and then somewhere to a lawn, and somewhere to have a cabin on the land. And what they've done with the land is it's really nice. Yeah, it is definitely an attractive spot. So that's us for now. Up on the end of the River Wissey at Grange Farm Touring Park. Come take a visit. Not right now, but you know. Wait till we're freed. Wait till we freed up the space for you. But when you get a shot, come up here and plant your boat and have a day. Go for a swim. We saw some kids having a swim. They looked Michael was ready to dive in, I think. I was. Yeah. Oh, I got the ladder if you want to get in. That's true. Well, I think I can probably get myself out, because as far as I can tell, I can stand in the middle of it. Right. So, thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, subscribe to Minimalist Maximum Velocity for our time-lapse videos, and if you want notifications, click that bell. Forecast for 24 days today, which is nuts considering 24 days. 24 days. 24 degrees. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Okay. No, that was a bad. Never mind.